Okej, så vi är tillbaka i Hamburg och vi ska titta på ännu ett spel som är en helt ny titel från InnoGames. Har inte visats tidigare, som heter Rising Generals. Vi har generalen här med oss. Men inte bara generalen, because we also have whom with us today.
Hello, my name is Florian. I'm product manager of Rising Generals. That means I'm responsible for the team and the development of the game in the future.
So, for people who know InnoGames games, it's a lot of like strategy games and stuff like that. Most famous is probably Tribal Wars. So, most people might think, Rising Generals, is it just Tribal Wars with tanks? Or what is it actually?
No. Rising Generals is actually the first game that's breaking a little bit with Tribal Wars. Of course, strategy games are our DNA. That's something we know to do and where we are best to do. But at some point, around 2.5 years ago, we started to think about to make a strategy game with a new context. And we thought first, okay, it should be PvP focused, like almost all of our games. But it should also be cross-platform. Cross-platform means for us you have one account, you can play on browser, on Android, on iOS, on all devices. You have always the same settings there. And when we started to develop, we figured out when we're doing mobile is something different than browser. And we said, okay, this game should be really the first cross-platform game. So we started to think about, let's do mobile first and not browser first, and then later on we just do a mobile version. So really mobile first. And when we started to dig ourselves really into mobile and mobile games, we figured out the normal way like games are doing in a browser, it's working, but maybe there are different ways, better ways, because what is super important and unique for us is it's something we call instant action.
Yeah.
That means in the normal games out there, strategy games, you perform an action like building something, producing something, or doing an attack, and then it takes some time until you can collect a reward. You build wood, and it takes 2 hours until you get it. You send out an army, and it takes 2 hours until the army arrives somewhere.
Yeah.
And we thought, okay, for mobile games, I want to play and I want to see that something is happening instantly. Like I have 10 minutes, maybe 5 minutes in the subway, I want to do something and I want to see the result. So what we did is, everything you're doing in our game happens instant. You produce components you need to for further productions, you produce them, you click it, you instantly get them, yeah? And then you have to wait like 1 hour or 30 minutes until you can do it again.
Yeah, for the cooldown, yeah.
Exactly, so we call it cooldown. So, or you're sending out an army to attack someone, yeah? And it happens in the right second you're doing it, not like in 1 or 2 hours, you're sending it out. Of course you need some fuel to do that, you need to produce fuel, but you can also do that instant. But only if you consumed everything, if you have produced everything, then you have to wait your time. But actually you can really do the whole core game loop in one session. You go in, you produce components, you upgrade your barracks, you produce troops, you produce fuel, you have everything set up to send out your army, you're doing it, you're getting your result. Wow, I'm happy, I beat someone up, and I'm coming back later, like 30 minutes when my cooldowns are finished. And I think that's the biggest change to Tribal Wars 1, and also of course the setting. Rising Generals has a completely different setting to all of our games. We have now a really or the vision was like bringing some 80 years Cold War stylish game into the future with some humoristic twist. I mean, you see a big guy, he's smiling.
You can totally see it on the graphic as well, that's kind of what you're referring to, yeah.
Exactly, like we have tanks with 3 barrels and really big. We have plasma cannons, laser cannons, and so everything is a little bit over the top, we say. So you play it and it makes you smile, and you feel really happy when you're doing that.
Yeah. So pretty much like the biggest thing is that you pretty much, like you said before, I think, turn the bucket.
Yes.
So for one, it might not sound as a huge thing, but it actually is. Like when you see it running, you see it, because then you get the, like you said, the instant results.
Exactly.
And then you have time to plan your next move. You don't sit and wait for the result.
Exactly.
But what are the main resources in this game? Because obviously it can't just be like wood and mud.
No.
It's got to be, like you said, fuel and...
What we have is, actually we have 3 main resources. So what we also said is, normally in strategy games you have like a strategy building game in there, like you have to manage all the resources, sometimes you have up to 10 resources, you have to build like 20 factories and so on, and then you have this army action where you send out troops. And we said, no, we won't have action. So we reduced the resources to 3. One is components. With components you can literally produce everything. Everything is related to components. Then we have fuel. Fuel is only needed to send out troops for attacks, reinforcement or capturing. And we have funds. So of course you need money to run your army, and your army requires upkeep. So the bigger your army gets, the more money you need. And of course if you don't pay your troops, they will desert and run away from you. Maybe going to your enemy, who knows. And so these are really the only 3 resources we have in the game that makes it very easy and accessible for the player. It's still a lot of thinking behind it, but it's very accessible for the player.
One thing that I saw directly is that the map is not homogenic, so to say. Like, it's not just hexagonal fields that you take over, and they have different shapes and they have different sizes. Does the size matter?
Yes,
in this case?
It matters, because depending on how far away something is, we calculate the amount of fuel you need to go there. Not time, because as I said, everything is instant. It doesn't matter if you're going from one point of the map to the other point, and our maps will be able to have around 40,000 players on it. So everything is instant, but the further you are away from something, the more fuel you will need. So it has an impact where you are, who is around you, and also the shape and the size of the bases, or the territory of the bases.
But so a bigger territory, does that give more reward than a smaller territory, for example?
A bigger territory means, of course, you can produce more components, you can have more troops, you have more income. That means you can research higher technologies, and you have, as I said, more troops, you can attack more powerful people and getting bigger, of course. So yes, you have a higher reward.
Does it affect, does the distance affect as well when you transport your own troops between your cities, or?
It affects the fuel consumption, not the time, as I said, but always the fuel consumption. But like transporting your troops to your own sites is cheaper than attacking something.
But with upkeep, is it, I want to say cities all the time, base specified? So the upkeep for just that base means that you can only have that amount of soldiers, or is it all together? So pretty much in your whole territory you have all the upkeep together.
To make it simpler, we said for the whole army you have, doesn't matter where it is, it's really like you're producing the money somewhere and you can redistribute it, and it's getting done automatically, because to make it really easy for the player.
So that's really something you strive for, to make something more dynamic, more action toned.
Yes, exactly.
How is it with alliances and stuff like that? Because the community and the people playing it, when it's PvP, I mean, it's pretty important that you can come together, people come together and then they fight together.
For us, it's a really huge thing, because we think, of course you have the gameplay, but we're an MMO, you're playing with other people together, and that means you're bringing up emotions. And to do so, you have to make, or you have to enable the players to interact with each other. That means like you can form battle groups that are all so-called clans or guilds, so we call it battle groups. You can team up there, you can fight other battle groups, you can help in the battle group. And we also have plans to strengthen that feature with alliance later, so more battle groups can form alliances, diplomatic system, so you can make friends, you can make foes, you can betray people, because we really think emotion and the socializing, in a good or bad way, but please no flaming, is always important to keep the speed of a game running.
Okay. But how much time did you put on the actual diplomacy? Like how deep does it go? Because I guess you don't want to ruin like the dynamic of it.
So far we keep it very simple. So like you're joining a battle group can getting higher, but the battle groups cannot really interact at the moment. That's something players have to figure out by themselves, like it's also done in other games. And then we will find out together with the players what they really want and need to interact with other players.
Yeah, I saw from the demonstration I saw the spy system, and that's kind of interesting. Could you tell me more about that?
Yes. In the beginning, or if you haven't spied someone, so we have a spy system, you have no information about him. What you can do, you can attack him, but if his troops are way more stronger than the attacking force, you won't get any information. I mean, you saw it today in the presentation, you get like artillery shells on you, and your troops are lost.
2 second defeat.
2 second defeat. Whoa, what the hell is going on here? We have a spying system that you can send out spies to infiltrate the enemies or other players to figure out in the first step how strong is the base itself, what kind of components or fuel they have there stored, how strong is the defense structure, is it worth to attack it because the barracks are really upgraded, or the factory. And in the second step, because spies are really powerful in our game, in the second step you can re-infiltrate the base to see the amount of troops are stationed there. And that's making it really powerful. And the counter to that is, the more active you're doing, that means, I mean, first of all, when you infiltrate, there's a chance that your spy is getting automatically detected. And the more active you're playing, and the more active you're playing in the base that's getting infiltrated, with every action that you're performing, there's a chance to capture a spy.
And this intelligence you can share with other players?
Not yet, but it's planned.
It's planned, yeah.
Yes.
What other kind of, like, pretty much intelligence all over can you share with other players, or is planned? Because, or is it all thought out that you should communicate about this? Can you see, like, your friends found a spy, for example? Not yet, but that is also something, as we said before, we want to talk with the players what they really want and need. We have a lot of ideas about that, like sharing spy results, sharing, like, I mean, what we have already is in the battle group a live news feed, like what's happening, and we can easily adjust what is shown there. At the moment it's like somebody get a level up, so rank up, but you can also show there has been defeated, has attacked someone. That's all possible. And I mean, not only for spying, but let's say also for the battle group, we have ideas that you can share attack plans. That someone is really drawing on the map and send it to the people, and they see, okay, we want to attack there and there. So you don't have to write all the time, but you can really make plans there. But it's something, as I said, we have planned it and we can implement it. But it's also something we want to have feedback from the players if they really want to have that, if they need that, and then we will decide. Okay. I thought, if we're going back to the actual map, we had territories, and these territories are in provinces, and then and there's a couple of provinces all over the map, or a couple, there's quite a lot of them. But if you conquer a whole province, you can do that, or
you can do that.
Does that give you some kind of boost, or for owning the whole province?
First,
some kind of edge.
First, we call the smaller things like districts, and the districts are around 10 people, and around 10 districts are one region.
Okay.
And when you conquer most of the region, you're getting your color and your flag on the region, so you can really show everyone, hey, this is mine, so stay away. We have also planned features, like, because we think first there will be a lot of fighting in these districts and these regions, and as soon as you're starting to conquering your region, you're trying to go to the next region. At the moment we have some borders in there, so the distance is higher, so you need more fuel to go to the next region. But we also have plans to build in connection points, like fortresses, where really people are starting to fight over these fortresses to get to the next region. So really getting cross points where everyone is fighting for.
All right. But since you're also looking for something more dynamic, how does this affect endgame? How far would you say, like, estimate that it would actually take from that you start until endgame? Does it become shorter with this concept? Because usually, like with other games, it can take up to 2 years, so it can go faster as well. But
at InnoGames we have a concept that we are calling world concept, or world handling. That means almost all of our games have different worlds, and they're starting the world. And at some point, this world is finished by endgame content, and we're starting all the time new worlds. That means you can not only play on one world, but on different ones. And for our game, it really depends on how big the world is. Okay. We can have a world up to 30,000 players. And of course, this world will last longer than if we would create a world for like 2,000 players. Mm-hmm. So that's a very powerful tool for us, because we're going to localize the game into 22 languages. Of course, some countries like US are bigger than, I'm sorry if I say some small country, but a smaller country. And in the US we probably will have 30,000 player maps, and in a smaller country we'll have like 5,000 player maps. Yeah. But we estimate at the moment that it will take up to 6 months until one bigger world has really come to an end. But of course we'll start along the way new world. That means you can have an old account 3 months into, then you can have a world with like 2 months, and you really fresh start a world with 1 month, so that you have like different games at the same time that you can play.
And when does it become an endgame? Is it just by conquering, or is there other ways as well to achieve victory?
At the moment it's conquering only, because we think that's the way to end the game. Yeah. But like in all other InnoGames games, we want to implement more features to end the game. So let's say that we also have diplomatic waste, there are resource waste maybe, or conqueror special points that you have to get there. So there are a lot of ways, a lot of ideas, and that's something we'll develop time by time. And we'll also want to do different worlds with different settings. Let's mean there's a world really for the hardcore guys who really want to fight for every piece of territory out there. And we can also do a world then that's a little bit more peaceful, where it's fighting but not as fast paced as maybe as the other one. Or we can do speed runs. We're totally up there by the conflicts.
And you listen a lot to the community, as I understand. So like if we go together, a lot of people will say we want Jedis in it, will you do it?
Then I think we have to talk with Lucas out, and then my management would say, oh, we cannot afford the fee for that.
At least you will look into it.
Yeah. It's something, it must be realistic.
Yeah. But how do you feel like, is this your first project developing cross-platform, like personally?
For me, it's the first project developing really cross-platform.
Yeah. And how does it feel like developing cross-platform? I mean, it must be hard.
Interesting, I would say. Yeah. I mean, for us, we said we want to focus on mobile first. In this very beginning, we were focusing on browser first, and we figured out it's so difficult to put all, or it's so easy to put all the information in browser. Big screen and so on. Then, oh wow, we want to transform that into mobile. How are we going to do that? Well, the screen is so small. Can we skip mobile and just go for iPad? No, you have to go for mobile. So we said, okay, let's try it the other way around. We go for mobile first. And if it's working for mobile, then we can make it bigger, giving you more information for the browser. And I think that changed the development dramatically, and that helped us really a lot to get to the place where we are at the moment.
Yeah, because when I had my hands on it, the interface is really good. I really like it on the phone. So apparently you did a good job.
So far.
You still have some months to mess it up.
Oh no.
But since it's free to play, there is always some kind of premium, I guess.
Yes.
How have you gone to make this play to win and not pay to win?
First of all, I can't stress that out enough. For InnoGames as company philosophy, it's super important that we are not pay to win. Pay to win is something for us. You just pay and you're getting so much advantage that you can beat everyone in the game or can win easily. And for us, the second thing is that everything that you can spend money for, you can also achieve by doing something in-game. That's the second big philosophy for us. And with that two goals, we sat down with the game design from the very beginning and thought, how can we do a good game experience for the player and also bring him value that he's that he wants, or he says, yes, I can spend money for that because it's value for him, and that's very important because we want to give them value and not just something. And we said, okay, what is important for us or for the player? And often, as in most of the games, it's time. It's like you don't have enough time, but you still want to play, you still want to progress in the game. You can do that. And if you want to do it a little bit faster, you can spend money for that. But also for the players who don't want to spend money but play really hard the game, they can earn the premium currency also in-game by missions, that's our name for quests, and being active. Yeah. And therefore they can afford premium stuff too. And that's very important for us.
How far are you into development now?
We're almost done for closed beta testing, and we hope that we can start with closed beta during summer 2014, and then by autumn this year or late this year we want to go open beta and release the game on all 3 platforms.
Sounds great.
Yeah.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much. Thanks.
Ni har på PowerGamer.se direkt från Hamburg. Få en trevlig helg eller vecka.